Hello. Can you all hear me okay? Great. Welcome to another Monzo Labs event. Who's been to one before? Cool. Well, welcome back. Thanks for coming back. This is an odd one because we're sort of in the process of moving out of this office space. You can probably tell by the fact that our sign is made of Post-it notes. Tonight at Monzo Labs, we'll be talking about bill splitting and something else that you'll see as we go on. But at the start, I just thought I'd say grab a drink, grab some food, grab a bench. If you haven't, I did just put another bench in if you want to sit down. The male toilet is here. The female toilet is just down the hall and on the right. If there's a fire, please leave the way you came. But I think that is it. I'll now hand over to Tim and Robin to talk about bill splitting.
Hey. So who here has used the split the bill with Monzo Me? Is that what it's called? Who's used that feature before? Okay. So we this feature that we have isn't that great? So do we have a screenshot? We've got a screenshot, don't we?
Yes, we do.
So you tap split the bill, and it comes up with it just divides the amount for you by 1, 2, 3, 4, and then it gives you a link, a Monzo Me link, and then you have to text that to someone, and they have to click on it, and it's kind of a pain to see who's actually paid you back. This is all part of we're trying to make Monzo better with your friends, so that you refer your friends to Monzo. You're all on there together, and it's the one place where you can manage all of that and all of your money. So we actually we started this project about 4 or 5 months ago. You can see here back on April the 13th, and the plan was to make bill splitting better, to bring it into the app, so that you don't have to leave the app to send this link to your friend, that you can just do it all through Monzo. So you can say split the bill with these people who are on Monzo, and that's a really seamless experience. But what happened was that other projects like the Big List and joint accounts, if you're at the last Labs event, those projects, we decided those were more important because you as the community said that you wanted us to work on those things. And so bill splitting was kind of put on hold for a little while. And this is something we come back to about a month or two ago.
About that.
Ron will tell you a bit about what that looks like.
Cool. Hi, I'm Robin. Together with Tim, we've been building this for the last month and a half or so. So after joint accounts, etc., we finally got some headspace to think about what we were going to do next, and we decided bill splitting is something we've wanted to do for a while, and we knew roughly what was involved in making a really slick experience, so we decided to go with that. And kind of thinking about the future as well, we decided to build it in a way that was extensible and made more sense. If we wanted to add more features about how Monzo works with your friends and how you can maybe request payments and all of this, so we wanted to make it in a way that we could build upon it in the future. So we built it in 3 parts. The first part is just bill splitting inside Monzo. So we wanted to make it integrated into the transaction. You can go into any bill, any restaurant payment, add your friends, and use the same flow that you would with any kind of other payment you do through Monzo. Be able to. That's the wrong one. Okay, I'll come back to that later. But yeah, so essentially, we wanted to make it feel integrated. So you could add multiple people the same way that you pay back one person right now. And the other part of it is receiving a request for a payment. And the third part, obviously, is the actual Monzo-to-Monzo payments that you've been probably using since Monzo started.
So it took us a while to realize that these were different things, that a bill splitting is different from a payment request. A bill splitting is just a way of saying, I want to make several payment requests. And then a payment request is, and then the bill splitting also lets you keep track of those things. So it took us a while to work out these were separate domain objects in our system, as it were.
Exactly. So we built them as separate things. The first part is bill splitting. You go into any transaction, as I described, you can add people, you can use nearby friends, you can add your contacts, and everything is kind of grouped under that transaction with those people shown as like pending requests. And you can keep track of who's paid you back, who's still pending. People can also decline. I'm not sure why you'd want to do that. But yeah, we've made it easy to customize the amount.
Yeah, it could lead to some awkward conversations.
Exactly, especially for pizza. And the other part is getting the request itself, which we'd love to generalize in the future. We want to, maybe you want to request half your rent, or maybe you want to request a bill before it's paid. But right now, a bill splitting kind of generates and groups together these payment requests. That you get a notification, you can accept or decline, as we discussed. And the neat thing is, we've connected all of these things up so that you can keep track of what transaction this actually belonged to, both on the requester side and on the recipient side.
It's quite hard to see here, but the feed item has a little the merchant logo is included. And when you tap through there, you can see the merchant details as well. So it's not just a payment from a friend. It also includes all the merchant information. So that's shared across. And the category is carried across as well. So it appears in the right place in summary.
Yeah, so you can reconcile the actual amount that you paid for the transaction.
Oops, I shared that slightly too early. So we've built this. We built payment requests on both platforms, but for the moment, bill splitting itself, you can only start from iOS. And that's not because we don't love Android, it's just because all our Android engineers went on holiday at the same time.
True story.
So yeah, rather than like not give you this feature that we've been working on and that we're really excited about, we're releasing it to Labs first, just on iOS, but you can like respond to a payment request from either platform, because if you had to know which of your friends were on iOS in order to use this, it would be pretty bad. So yeah, we're very sorry it's not on Android yet, but it should be in the next couple of weeks. Our Android engineer has finally come home from holiday. And so that kind of gives you an idea of what we've built so far for bill splitting. We've got a number of ideas of how we could extend this. So some of the ideas are currently you have to wait until you've made the payment before you can split the bill. One of our ideas is to allow you to split the bill before you make a payment. So you can, for a restaurant bill, maybe you have enough money to pay that and then ask for money back. For something like your rent, some shared bills in a flat share, maybe you want to be able to ask for money from your friends before you actually need the money to pay someone. So that's kind of the first thing. Another idea that we're playing with is the idea of having groups. So you might have a group that has you and your two housemates in it, and then we just kind of give you a shortcut so you can really quickly split the bill with something with that group. And it also lets you personalize your Monzo a bit, because you can have a group and you can call it, Happy Flat, and you can give it a little picture. And finally, we've been talking about kind of extending that, so rather than for every bill, you have to split it and then settle it. And although we've tried to make the kind of payment request flow really seamless, all you have to do is like authenticate with your finger or your PIN and the money is moved. It might be nice if you could kind of tally up at the end. So if you go on holiday with some people, it might be nice if you could kind of split the bill as you go along, but then you don't actually have to pay anyone back until the end if you're sharing things out. So those are some of the ideas we're thinking about. Let us know which of them you would prefer. And now we have Rika with a secret feature. Here you go.
Tim, what has happened to your laptop? I'm hitting the presenter button. There we go. I guess so. So, yeah, it's all about 3DS. The Nintendo 3DS was Nintendo's handheld console. No, pretty secure. I've made that joke on every single presentation I've made internally. So what is 3D Secure? In short, it is two-factor authentication for online payments. The way this works is that the merchant will request it for anything that they consider risky, which in some cases is apparently every single transaction. Yes. And normally when you go through this with almost every other bank, I believe it's all the same system that they all buy. You get this screen that's like enter the 6th, 7th, and 8th characters of your password. Who remembers their 3D Secure password? Yeah. So we found that when we did our little survey, we found that almost everybody had to reset it every single time. So that's the answer as to why we're not doing this. Yeah. This is just... Yeah, he's Italian Prime Minister? Former Italian Prime Minister, yes. But yeah, this is the average user seeing 3D Secure page during checkout. We talked to a bunch of merchants. We found that the cart abandonment rate on 3D Secure was something like over half, which is pretty terrible if you're a merchant, that somebody goes to pay you and then just says, can't be bothered. So, yeah, why are we doing this? First of all, we've actually seen a very large amount of fraud losses as a result of not supporting it. So when a merchant requests 3D Secure, if we don't support it, we're now liable for the transaction because the merchant said, I want some extra security. We said no. So we're now liable. So as a result of the Ticketmaster breach, we were pretty much forced to replace, I believe the number's actually closer to 20,000, but over 10,000 cards had to be replaced because we just didn't have any sort of second form of security. If the card numbers were out there, they were out there. Which led to about £20,000 worth of losses just on that incident, just on those cards. And these are losses that we cannot recover because we didn't support 3D Secure. And these losses, mean we're not going to be profitable as fast if these keep increasing. This is money that we could be spending elsewhere on making the product much better. All sorts of things. And of course, the one that people really care about, merchant acceptance. So this is a very, very common piece of feedback we receive on the in-app surveys. Like to switch to Monzo from my main account, can't use it with Coinbase. So as a result of us now supporting 3D Secure, Coinbase now works. Cross-country by Aviva and almost every single other train operator. A few of them seem to have misconfigured their systems, but we're reaching out to them to try and get it fixed. And you can now buy the Santander Cycle key fobs. So how are we doing this? You saw the page before. We're not doing passwords. This is the page that you will see when you are trying to make a purchase and the merchant requests additional security. You may also see a text message code box, but in general, this is what you'll see. Please prove this through your Monzo app. And if you open up your phone, you'll see something that's a bit like this. This was my phone earlier. Tap to approve transaction. We'll just use Touch ID, Face ID, PIN, whatever you have. Fingerprint on Android coming by the end of the week, I believe. And then on your computer back, you'll get the confirm screen. Still to come, merchant logos. You'll notice that there is no logo for Southwestern Railway, and it's also SWR. This is just the raw information we get. It turns out that the IDs that we get from 3D Secure and the IDs that we get from MasterCard's sort of authorization message do not match up at all, so we have to build a table between the two. So this is one of the reasons why we're in labs today. In-app approvals for everybody. At the moment, we had a last-minute breaking bug on both platforms. We tried to work around it server-side, we couldn't. So iOS required an update that was released yesterday. Android, the update's rolling out end of the week, I believe. And yeah, falling back from in-app approvals to text messages when you don't have your phone logged in. This is super helpful if you're running the latest like macOS and iOS, and you can have auto-filled codes, which is really neat. And we'll get, or you're not connected to the internet, to which I question how you'd be getting into the 3D secure flow anyway, but with the phone, yeah. Oh yeah, true, if your phone is not connected to the internet, but your computer is. And better help options, you'll notice that the only help option at the moment is to cancel the purchase. We want to actually put some slightly better help options, such as if the page has not actually moved on and you have approved it on your phone, there'll be a manual button to do that tomorrow. And also being able to connect to in-app chat. So it's in Monzo Labs now, you can enable it. Full release, we hope is coming Wednesday 22nd. This is when we're going to roll it out to everybody, so please go and test it with various merchants. We found a few this morning that broke and we fixed it by the end of the day, so we are very much hoping to be on top of this. If you have any more questions, head to community.monzo.com.
Thanks, Rika. So now is the part of the evening where we have turned on the feature in Labs, bill splitting. 3D Secure was already turned on yesterday. And if you follow these instructions, you go into your Monzo app, you tap through to the account tab. At the top, you'll see your name. If you click on that and scroll all the way down, you'll find Monzo Labs. And in there, you should see 3D Secure and bill splitting. And you should be able to turn on bill splitting. And then you can go find a transaction, and you can split the bill on that. And this is the mic with the dodgy XLR connector. So, any questions? I'll put the instructions back up if you're trying to take a picture of them. Do we have the catch box, Richard? Any questions? At the back? Sorry, can you wait for the catch box, just so we get it for the video?
Strange box.
Which part? Here we go. For bill splitting, do you have any plans on supporting non-Monzo users? So when you're sitting around the table and you're splitting the bill, not everybody's going to have a Monzo account. So how are you planning to solve that?
I mean, the facetious answer here is you should just sign them up for a Monzo account. More seriously, yes, it is definitely something we thought about. With Monzo Me, the idea was that you didn't have to have Monzo because it was just a link. And if you give that link to someone, they can pay it through Apple Pay or Android Pay in their browser. Or if they have Monzo, it upgrades that link into the Monzo app. We didn't see very much usage of Monzo Me. I think I can say that. It definitely wasn't as popular a feature as we've hoped. So for bill splitting, this V1 bill splitting, we've prioritized making the Monzo to Monzo experience really seamless. But ways to kind of allow you to say Bob also owes me money, but he doesn't have Monzo, and letting the app kind of track when Bob pays you back is definitely something we've been thinking about.
I mean, to be clear, Monzo Me hasn't gone away either, so you can still go to the payments tab and request money that way and send someone a link. It won't be tracked through the bill splitting, but you can adjust the amount so that everything still makes sense.
Anything else?
Thank you. Michael's here. 2 questions. The first one is linked to the previous one. So is it possible to have just a function or a link which I can press within the page when I want to split the bill and transform one of the person into a Monzo Me link? That would be a nice idea. So we're on a table. One is not a Monzo customer. So I will do the calculation on 4. 3 are on Monzo, and the 4th one, I will click and I'll be able to copy paste a link containing the amount and whatever.
So to answer your first question, as I was just saying, we haven't we currently don't support non-Monzo users in this bill splitting interface, and so there's no way to get a Monzo Me link or anything out of that.
Okay. And the second question regards the 3D Secure. So you've decided to rely on the phone itself. I think there should be an option for more concerned customer to have an alternative and to disable eventually the biometric abilities and requesting explicitly an SMS or whatever.
So we are definitely thinking about that. We don't want to leave people completely unable to make payments. But it comes down to, at the moment, we had to support one out of a list of things that MasterCard gave us. And SMS was the only one that was not either requiring another piece of hardware. So, for example, little pin pads where you put your card in. We found in our survey people universally hate those. And the other one was sort of passwords, which we'd like to avoid in general. So, yeah, there's definitely ways that we could do things like, if we're very sure it's you and you've used this browser millions of times before, we can just put you through anyway, which isn't the perfect solution, but I think it'd work for quite a lot of cases. At least that's what the data we've got so far says. We'll see how it goes. Definitely, if you do find yourself in situations where you're blocked from making a payment, do let us know on the community forum or even through help. We will look into, based on the demand, how we can solve that for you.
Anything else?
Thank you. Hey, I just have a question about bill splitting. So let's say I go with a couple of friends to whatever, offshore, the States, right? And we're making purchases on USD. If I set up a bill split on day 1, and then one of them decides to pay on day 7, is the exchange rate going to be on day 7's exchange rate or day 1's exchange rate?
Really good question. So you might be familiar with the difference between authorization and presentment. Do we use those terms? When you make a transaction in the US, we use the exchange rate at the time of the transaction initially, and then a couple of days later, that transaction will settle with the final exchange rate that MasterCard give us. When you do a bill split on a transaction that hasn't yet settled, and you can tell in your app that the amount isn't final, we try and make this clear in the app. It will use the amount at the time the transaction was made, which may differ from the time when it settles. So you could be in a situation where you do bill splitting on day 0 that you made the transaction, everyone pays you back, and then 2 days later, the exchange rate changes a bit, and so you're out of pocket or you've gained a small amount because of the difference in exchange rate. But this isn't something that we've handled at all. As in, bill splitting doesn't take into account exchange rates at all. It just uses the GBP value that was given at the time of the transaction.
Again, it's worth noting that these exchange rate fluctuations are very, very small. So we were looking at the data a while back, and we found that the fluctuation is less than 3 pence. So it depends how much you care about that, I guess.
Any other questions?
It's a real problem for charities when they do fun runs or cycle rides to collect the money up. You can extend your group payment for, I don't know, fun runs, say, for cancer research or something.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea. Something like groups or a payment request idea. You can kind of still do that with Monzo Me, just sending a link around and everyone can pay you back. But yeah, definitely something we want to include more in Monzo, that you can reach out to people and request things.
Anyone else? Come to you first.
Does the transaction have to be above a certain amount before you can use bill splitting with it?
It's 50p, I think, mainly for like card authorizations. But yeah, other than that, you can split it with anything.
At a certain point, it just doesn't make very much sense. I had a 10p TFL transaction. Do I really need to split that with my housemates? Go ahead.
Have you had any thoughts for bill splitting on recurring payments, say a direct debit or a standing order?
So this is definitely one of the things we were thinking about. One of the ideas that we really like is... Which one was that? So yeah, we had a session when we were brainstorming different use cases and what how we could solve them. And one of the things we were thinking about was a flat share. Bill splitting so far has mainly just been like, you go out with some friends to a restaurant or a pub, and we were thinking, how can we make this work for a flat share? And one of the ideas we came across was, you have a standing order for rent. If you bill split on your rent standing order, that should make several standing orders from your friends to you. And we were thinking about ways we could make that clear in Monzo, and also that this can also help with your left to spend in summary. That rather than us showing you that you have hardly any money left to spend because your rent's going to go out later the month, if we know that your friends are going to pay you some money, that can kind of fix your summary and fix your dial. Doing bill splitting on standing orders and direct debits is definitely something we've been thinking about.
Hi, it's Matt. I'm probably just benchmarking against your competitors here, but there's an app called Splitwise where you can scan a receipt.
We have heard of it.
Yeah, I'm sure you have. So you can scan a receipt, and obviously it uses computer vision to individually popularize each item, and then you can split it using your bill splitting feature. I was just wondering if that's something you considered for the future.
We'd love to hear feedback like this and similar, just to help us get a sense of what people would actually use. And Splitwise is something we've looked at. Groups is kind of an extension of that idea, and just to be able to create a group of people that you regularly split bills with. And scanning receipts is something that would make sense in this context. We don't have any immediate plans to add that, but it would definitely make sense going forward.
One last question.
There you go.
Hiya, I play football with the lads on a Monday night, and it's a nightmare getting cash off people to pay for the game. So bill splitting for me might be a good way of setting everybody up on some kind of list, and I press a button and they all know they have to owe me £2.50 every week, rather than asking them for it. I'm just wondering, is there something like that where you can create up a regular list for maybe a particular event and duplicate it, or whatever? Thanks.
So that's as we talked about before with bill splitting a standing order, or when we were talking about making a group of people that you can split the bill with. That's definitely one of the things we're thinking about to extend this idea further. But definitely give us feedback like this on the forums. We really want to know how you guys how you all use this and how you would like to be able to use it. Your feedback's really, really useful. I think that's about all we have time for.
Thanks. Thanks everyone for coming. We'll be around afterwards to chat a little bit and ask more questions. There is still some more food and some more drinks, so do stick around, and thank you all for coming. Thanks.
So let's say, for example, this kind of scenario, it's quite common. When a colleague moves to another company, or when you want to collect some money for a gift or something like that. We now